Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast.
Good job.
Awesome.
Have you ever heard someone say, I lost my dream when I got married? A couple years into this relationship and I feel so lost. Man, we have walked with friends that have totally hit that place. And I have been scared my whole life, honestly. Before I met Chris, I thought that choosing marriage and choosing relationship meant saying no to operating in my full gifting and my career. I thought getting married and having kids meant I had to sacrifice the other parts of myself and the other dreams that I had. I know it can be complicated because it's hard enough to find your dream and your passion and your lane on your own. Never mind when you throw another human in and all their dreams and their passions. So I know it can be complicated, but Chris and I want to dig into the nitty-gritty of this conversation because we believe it is possible to not lose yourself in your relationship, but to show up, be fully present, have a great marriage, and have a great career. So that's what we're going to dig into in this episode. Hey, I'm Jodi.
And I'm Chris.
And we are Loving the Outcome. Welcome to our podcast.
We're a husband and wife who rock out together.
We're parents of Milo and Ziggy.
And we're following Jesus as best we can.
Our story began in Winnipeg, Manitoba, where we fell in love, got married, and decided to sell everything and travel in our Jetta, selling CDs out of the trunk of our car.
The road led us to Nashville, where we signed a record deal, started our family, and now the four of us travel together in our minibus, White Neptune.
I know, crazy, right? Our life is a road trip.
And we want to invite you into it.
So come along for the ride as we chat with some of our favorite people about family, spirituality, wellness,
And of course, music.
Come on, let's go. Hey guys.
Hi, everyone.
I like our sweatshirt vibes.
We went comfy. It's cold today.
It is cold in Tennessee.
It just kind of happened like overnight.
It's Halloween here on the day we're recording this. So in Winnipeg, there would be snow on the ground, and my costume, my 5-year-old self is remembering how mad I was when I was Princess Leia and I had to put a full snowsuit on top of my Princess Leia costume.
Right. Yeah.
So it's not that cold.
Classic Canadian Halloween. And like our first Halloween here in Nashville, it was like 90 degrees.
I know.
And we're like, wow, this is...
And I had bought
a lot
Milo
different.
a head-to-toe fur fox costume, and he was dying. But he insisted on wearing it again today for school.
And like 2 years later, he's grown into it fully, and now it's just like an upper torso costume. But he's so cute. We should put a picture in.
Oh, we will.
Okay.
We will. So our Spider-Man, fireman, and our fox are at school right now.
Yep.
And we're hanging out doing a podcast. And I'm excited about this one because we get so many questions about how we do our dreams together, how we're married, but we also own a business that happens to be our dreams, that happens to be parenting and everything mixed together. And I just feel like this is going to clear up a lot of questions for people that follow us and hang out with us. To start it off though, I have definitely been in relationships where I started to lose myself and my dreams and my purpose within the relationship. That's not a good relationship. That's not the right relationship. And I remember for you and me, I remember being pretty seriously dating, not engaged, but really seriously dating. And we had a gig. And we showed up at the gig both completely stressed because we'd spent the whole night kind of tossing and turning, trying to figure out how we could be in separate bands and be married. And we couldn't figure it out. Do you remember that?
I do.
It was stressful.
It's the only time that it's maybe the only time that we ever really had a serious disagreement about something.
Well, we broke up over it.
We were on a break.
Yeah, we were on a break.
For a 24-hour break.
And it was a really important thing to talk about, not to minimize it at all. We're kind of laughing about it now because we didn't know what was in store for us. But at the time, I had fallen in love.
That was a bad night. It
was like, terrible. It was so stressful. Like, I'd fallen in love with this bass player in this cool rock band, and you guys were like in it. You had Alone Out with your buddies. You were like on album 2.
Well, and
it was serious.
The thing is, by that point, we weren't even like really financially. That was before the loan. That was before any like.
You were just playing gig to gig. You guys were in college still?
Well, no. I think all of us were finished school by that point, but we were in the band together with you in the worship band,
like make it or break
touring,
it. Let's do this.
And I think that was kind of there. There was kind of like a tipping point there where we were either gonna keep going or we were gonna split off from the worship group and do our own thing.
Either way, you guys were like, it wasn't just a side hustle. You guys saw this as your passion,
right?
And you were hoping one day it would be your paycheck. I don't know if it was yet at that point.
I think it had sort of started to become each of our paychecks a little bit. Like, I think everyone had a side hustle at the same time.
Yeah.
But it was like, this is the roadmap. This is
what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I loved it because I loved dating someone who was passionately pursuing their dream. That was a huge turn on for me. But then all of a sudden it hit me that I was doing the same thing. And they were not together at that point.
And those dreams aren't making any money.
And those dreams are making no money. And it was like, hold the phone. Okay. And I tossed and turned with the Lord. I was like, God, I know this is the one for me. Like, I knew already at that point. I don't know how you felt, but I definitely was like all in with you. But I was so conflicted because I knew what it felt like to be in a relationship, which I'll get into later, where I wouldn't be able to fully live my gifting and my calling and my dreams. So I was able to do that. And then I met you and you were doing that. And we were like, woohoo, dreams. But we're not making money. And now we want to get married. And are we both going to just tour in separate directions and never hang? So what did we end up? What was we got back together. But I think we just kind of concluded that we were just going to let God work it out.
Yeah, I think, I mean, not to get too spiritual about it, but I think that's really true. There was a lot of faith involved, and for me, I think it happened. I think there were 2 times that it happened. It happened then, and then it happened after we were married. This is all before we were married, obviously, but that I was put the idea of us and how I feel about you and how much I love you ahead of any kind of like, I really want to follow this dream. And thinking it's like, maybe this dream is more important than, whatever is coming along out there.
That is the perfect segue. So we know how confusing this whole conversation can be. And yeah, that's what we're going to dig into on this episode. How to not lose yourself, not lose your dream in the middle of your relationship. So let's jump in. I don't know the way, but you got this. Give me the faith that you got this. Even today, you got this. I know that you got this. So I'm going to throw it back for a second to a time where I was in a relationship that was just okay, but I'd been in it for a long time and I was pretty committed, but there was a moment for me where I realized that marriage to this person would mean never maximizing my capacity with my dreams and my talents. It hit me that marrying this person would be settling and not fully realizing myself maybe ever. It sounds really harsh, but I think we've all been there in relationships where it feels good, but then when you actually step back and go, am I fully present in this relationship? Am I fully living my dreams? Does the person I'm with not only enable my dreams, but like spur me on? I think those are such important questions to ask. If you're in a single season especially, and you're looking towards relationship and marriage, make sure those are priorities. Prioritize yourself. Don't just prioritizing finding a spouse, finding a partner. So I definitely know how it feels to feel like marriage is sacrificing yourself and sacrificing your dreams, because I almost did that. And I know it can be scary, but I'm here to tell you in this episode that it does not have to be. Maybe you're single, maybe you're engaged, and you guys haven't had the conversation about like, who stays home with the kids when we have kids? Like, how does that look? I know for me, I assumed as a woman that I would be the one saying, bye career, I'm just going to stay home and make this my career now. That's a pretty heavy conversation to hold in your head and not actually have. Or maybe you've been married a few years and you just never actually talked about how important living fully alive is and what that looks like. That's an important conversation to have too. So wherever you are on the spectrum, we need to stop believing the lie that being in a healthy relationship means sacrificing yourself and your dreams. You can have both. And we're going to get into that in this episode. So I'm sitting beside you, and I'm so glad.
Hi.
I'm so glad to tell this story because this is not the man that held me back from living my dreams. This is the man who enabled my dreams. And the relationships look so different. I mean, I remember playing my first like really big gig. For me, it was so big at the time, and it was with you, but we were just friends. I was dating this other guy that I referred to in the beginning.
Was that at the Pyramid?
No, I'm thinking about the Walker. I'm thinking about
the Walker, yeah,
like the big show, thousands of people. I've never got to lead worship or sing my own songs to this many people. And I remember being in my element and realizing almost a new level of capacity for myself. And you were behind me, which you always joke that you fell in love with.
Fell in love from behind. It was a nice view.
It gives me such confidence in
and of course,
behind.
I know you're going to go further with this, but what you don't know, or you know now, is that I had gone to those nights as just in the audience.
You'd been to those worship nights.
A few times. So I had seen you in your full glory doing what you do, and I knew what the potential was. So I loved you at first from the front, and then when I saw you from the back, it's like, that seals the deal.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to laugh about that for a long time. But yeah, so I was leading worship on a big stage. Chris had been to these events. They were called Hear the Music, and they were worship events in cities across Canada. And this one was in our hometown in Winnipeg. And I remember, feeling so alive and getting in touch with something that I hadn't gotten to do before. I was like, whoa, could I do this forever? And I got off stage and I was in a really serious relationship, and the person I was dating was so unenthused and like very intimidated by, I think, my power, like my capacity that he saw. And it didn't come from me. It came from the Lord. I knew that, but it was like he just wasn't up for the challenge of being with someone who was that much and that strong and that much of a leader and that much of a go-getter. And I think up until
sort of like, good for you. Have you got that out of your system now?
Yeah. Can we move on to like getting married and like getting serious about family life? That's totally it. Like that's what I saw in his face. And I was so scared. It scared me. And my parents saw it too, because my parents met him in the lobby after the show and they were like, wasn't that amazing? Like, I mean, we all knew Jodi could do that, but I don't know if she knew she could do that. And that was so exciting. And he was like, yep. And my parents freaked out. They were like, oh no, this is not going to go well. But I was deep into this relationship already. So I was super conflicted. Do I have to choose between marrying this person? But I just saw it as marriage. I thought everything's like this. I was young. It's like 20, 21, 22, thinking like, I have to make a choice. I'm a woman. I choose marriage and family, or I choose career. I didn't know you could do both until I met you. And that's why we had to talk about this in this relationship. Does a guy ever...
Well, and of course your dad prophesied over me like the day after I met him.
Yeah.
At our church in the little gym, we had just started dating. And like the week before, and your dad comes up to me, this is so great. I can see you guys together.
Whoa, Bernie, slow down, Bernie.
So but the funny thing is that it didn't freak me out.
Wow.
I mean,
I didn't even know he said that to you.
I think most of the time, if that happens that early in the relationship, you're like, whoa, brakes, hit the brakes. Okay, we need to talk about this. Well, but it was like, yeah, I mean, I could see this going this direction. I don't know. I mean, I was still, neck deep in with my band, so it was like, we'll just figure it out.
Yeah, there were definitely things to work out. But that brings me to the question, did you ever feel conflicted by the things a woman is conflicted over of choosing career or family, choosing career or marriage? Like, did you ever think it was one or the other? Do guys deal with that the same way girls deal with it?
Probably not. Probably not to the same degree, and not like I wouldn't say it was career or family. It would be like career. Yeah, I don't.
So the answer is no.
The simple answer is no.
Yeah, like, not to put words in your mouth, but you've told me that before, that like the pressures of a female being the ones that birth the child, it's like it's a given. And we've watched it happen in a lot of relationships too, where like you don't even talk about what that looks like. There's just an assumed, like when it's time to have kids, the man will keep working and the woman will stay home. And sometimes that is living the dream for that woman. But for me, that was a major source of stress. And I remember being married and being on the road at this point together on the road, not as Love in the Outcome, but our bands had kind of merged. And I remember talking to you and sharing for the first time, even though we were already married, that conversation of like, babe, what do we do? Like, I want to have kids one day, but I will never be the best mom. I won't be the best wife if I lose myself and have to quit singing and doing this artist thing. And do you remember what you said?
That infamous stretch of highway between Winnipeg and Regina, where there's just like, it's basically straight for 6 hours. There's nothing else to do.
There's a lot of time to...
There's nothing else to do but talk.
Yeah. And do you remember what you said to me?
I do.
What did you say?
I remember saying, I can see myself staying home.
You're like, I can record bass at home. Yeah. I can play my bass at home. I'll stay home with the kids. I bawled like a baby. It was like...
And guess what? It's coming true.
But it was a huge deal. And it's funny to me, we need to have this conversation on this podcast to help people in their single season or in their dating season or in their engaged season have the conversation we didn't have until like 5 years into marriage. I'm just so grateful that we were on the same page, because that is a divorce moment for a lot of people. Like
and it ended up being that for people that I love dearly, that it was one of those kind of like, it's one of those moments that my world was kind of rocked, because I thought that they were super strong, and then you find out later that someone felt like their dreams were being squashed.
Yeah. And I think those are the things that you minimize, because, when you're so in love and la la land of like, oh my goodness, my world is complete. As a woman anyway, we think that, and it's true. But your world isn't complete if the person that's completing you is cutting you off from your full gifting, from operating in your full gifting. So if you are in that place right now, this is a good conversation to tackle ASAP. If you're already married, like we were, it's not too late. It's never too late. Just have the conversation. Don't settle for like a okay marriage, and don't settle for an okay version of yourself. If there's a way to work through that, even if you're several years into your marriage, maybe you're even retired and some of these conversations aren't coming up till now, it's not too late. Just like, don't settle, don't stagnate. If this podcast helps at all for you to like rise above it, then it's a success. So God calls us to abundance. We talk about this all the time, living life to the full, not half, the full, even when it's full of challenges, and that's what Chris and I...
Our life is very full right now.
It is, and we have to fight for that abundance sometimes, but we're not settling, and we're also not settling in our relationship. Like, we fight to have a vibrant marriage, and so we want to cover a couple quick points, a couple resolution points, maybe they're not even resolution points. Maybe they're questions you need to have in the middle of your current relationship. Or they're ones you need to journal down in your diary if you're in a single season. But I feel like one of the keys to you and me not losing ourselves and showing up in our relationship fully is that we risk together. For like from day one. It was even risky dating and going, we're going to go forward with this and choose us, but also know that we have to let each other choose our careers and let God work out the details. Like, that was kind of risky, but we kind of went for it. Well, we fully went for it.
Yeah, we've never, we've sort of always asked ourselves the question, there's always the what if about, well, what if we take this job? What if we, go and work for this organization but then we look at each other and it's like, well, that's maybe
you can always fall back and
you can always come back to something like that.
Yeah.
But what if we take the next step down this road?
But what if we went for it? What if we lived fully alive? It's going to be crazy.
We're always the people who are like, what's behind door number 3? Yeah. It's not like,
but you know what?
Well, there's the car here and this is the boat, but what's behind door number 3? It's like, yeah, door number 3.
But you know what, babe? Even if whoever's listening is not quite as into risk and adventure as we are, there is still something about risking and doing something that causes you to rely on God and rely on each other. That's going to cause growth.
And the funny thing is you kind of bring that out of me because I'm not naturally a very risky person.
Yeah.
Like, some members of your family would probably listen to this like, Chris isn't risky. He doesn't do anything dangerous.
You're not risky maybe, but you've never been scared of what it takes to grow as a human, as an individual, and what it's taken for us to grow in our career as a band. And we both know that you have to make friends with risk if you want to grow.
I'm not as risky as far as like hurting my body.
You do not have tats.
I don't have tats. I'm not very athletic. I don't like sports that like stretch me out too far.
You know what? But to your point, you can't risk in every area of your life.
True.
So we're risking in career. Every single day of our life, we're putting ourselves out there. You can't do that as a dad, in your home life, in your workouts. Like, there has to be some stability.
I'm okay with walking in front of 20,000 people and hitting the wrong note.
So are you risking together? Doesn't have to be the way we risk together, but make sure that you're with somebody who isn't scared to go, yeah, you know what, let's pray about that. And if God is calling us to go do a short-term missions trip, if like you didn't really want to go to Africa, but you totally knew like this is a step in our journey together, so you did it. That wasn't your cup of tea. It wasn't even totally mine, but we risked together. What does that look like in your relationship? Because without risk, there's no growth, personally or as a couple or in your career. So I think that's a key, just to have that conversation. Find little ways. Like maybe it's like joining a Bible study. Maybe it's like making friends with your neighbors. Maybe it's having a dude night where you actually go get to know another guy. Like, I don't know what it is.
Go to the Y and work out together.
Yeah, like just do something outside your comfort zone. Even if it seems like a small thing, it'll have big results because you're forced to grow.
I would have never gone to the Y by myself. But the funny thing is that I don't hate working out. Like I kind of like exercising if it's during the right time, and all these things have to line up. So when you would be like, let's go to the gym, I don't want to go. But then I would go and I would enjoy myself when I'm there.
Yeah.
It was just like getting up
the
motivation to go.
To do it. Well, that's okay. So
work out
together. That's a good point. I think another key point is, besides like risking together, is just prioritizing personal growth, which you kind of just touched on. For me, marrying you, at first I thought it had to be working out at the gym. I came to realize a couple years in, I just love it that you're prioritizing staying healthy and working out, because that is a major turn on, that you as a human want to look good, feel good, be healthy for yourself and for me. So I think so that's like physical growth, I guess. But like also, you've always read a ton. You've always been up on your news feed. You've always found time with the Lord. We just don't do that together. We do not do devote. We are not that couple. Because Kumbaya, my lord. Like we don't do devotions together. It's like I'm a morning person, you're a night owl, but you prioritize growth your way and your spiritual growth your way, and I do it my way.
We've been married 16 years, almost. And last month was the first time that I've gone to a movie by myself.
That should have happened long ago.
And it was the greatest thing that, like, the greatest thing that I've personally done by myself.
And that's for your personal well-being.
Right.
Maybe not growth, but well-being. Definitely.
I go to see movies that you don't care about.
Yeah.
I go to a theater where I can get pizza, where I can get...
You do it, babe.
All the things.
And you send me to get a manicure. It's like personal growth, personal well-being. You cannot be healthy in a relationship if you're not healthy by yourself.
Wow. Okay, there you go. There's the...
But it's hard. It's easy when you're single.
That might be the teaser.
Sure. It's easier when you're single to prioritize yourself. It's even kind of easy to do it when you're first married. Then you add kids. It's like if you haven't established some healthy personal rhythms and habits, oh man, like it's tough when you add kids into the mix.
Well, I would say to that, all of those things, all of those like rhythms and things that they'll all change as soon as you have kids. You have to find ways to fit them back in.
You fit them in. That's what so how do you say that then? Like the rhythm changes, but the habit you've created remains in some form.
Yeah, it's just the time signature changes.
Sure.
It goes from 4/4 to like 7.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, wait, I don't know how to play this beat.
I don't know how to do this. But
then you come around and it's like,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You're working out in the backyard for 10 minutes doing push-ups while your boys are, mowing the lawn.
Or your boys become your exercise and you just throw them up in the air.
That's just it.
There you go.
So the other thing I think is if you're not, like you might look at Chris and I guess, and say, cool, like easy for you to say, you guys live your career together. So of course you can be healthy in your dreams, healthy in your relationship. But I work a job I hate, I don't enjoy my job. And so I'm finding that hard because the not enjoying my job and not enjoying my career is sucking the life out of my relationship too. I mean, that's life. I get it. We have tons of friends and we have both worked jobs that suck the life out of us and out of our relationship.
Or maybe didn't give as much life.
Give life. Maybe that's a better way to say it.
As we have now.
Yeah. So if that's you and you're doing the noble work of prioritizing your family, prioritizing making money in a season where you don't like your job, but you need to provide, men and women, that's actually I want to give you a high five because that's amazing. And I know you're sacrificing in a different way. You're sacrificing a little piece of your heart, doing a job you don't love, but it's a necessity at this season of your life. I think my only caution would be, and I think you can speak to this better because I think you have friends that do a job that they don't totally love, but they have found ways to make sure that they love their off time. They've put their passions maybe just in their after work activities, but you're still finding a way to be alive and fulfilled in ways that aren't your career.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, and I think for us, we haven't been doing this that long.
No, it's true.
Our hobby became our job.
Yeah.
And now, it is kind of a strange thing that we don't really do a 9 to 5.
It's weird. We pinch
unless
ourselves.
we're doing podcasts, then it's 9 to 5.
But you built fences. You did a whole bunch of random
I did build
jobs.
Fence. I built, yeah.
Just to make money.
I was so bad at it.
But you still played in your band. And that's the thing. I think it's just your passion doesn't need to be your paycheck. But if you're going to show up for your relationship and not lose yourself, you better find a way to still be passionate.
Well, and the funny thing is, on the other side of that, it is also I have a lot of friends who are musicians who are doing what they love to do and are getting paid for it, and then they get to a point where they're like, I've kind of hit a dead end, and I don't know if I really love doing this anymore, and I think I could make more money doing this. And it's like, you're on stage, you're playing your guitar every night. What more do you want? And that was always to me, that was the pinnacle. And now I'm doing it, and I'm like, it's pretty great. I don't know.
But you know what, babe? It happens so much, and that's okay. Like, when your season changes, it changes. And that's why it's important to prioritize your passions, whether you're on or off stage, whether you're getting paid or not, whether it's public or private. It's like God made you to do something. God gave you gifts and passions, and you're never going to you're never going to show up and be fully alive in your relationship if those things aren't present.
Yeah.
So it's like, because I did love you before you were making a penny, because I was so attracted to the fact that you knew what made you tick. And honestly, whether you made money doing it or not wasn't the thing for me. It was like marrying a passionate individual who's like stumbled on something they love to do and come alive doing, and that's a turn on. So risk together. Also make sure that you're prioritizing like personal spiritual growth. Make sure you're doing what you're passionate about, whether you're getting paid or not. And you won't lose yourself, I think.
that falls under the whatever you do it unto the Lord.
Yeah. I think to close, what you said at the beginning is like hitting me though, that you saw me on stage fully operating in my gifting, and you saw me in a capacity I didn't even see myself in yet. And I think that's such a gift. And I saw the same in you. I think if you can be with someone who sees you in a capacity you don't even see yourself yet in, that's a good person. That's a good fit. If they want to champion your dreams and your passions even more than their own, they want to see you grow and come to life. That's massive. Because to be honest with you guys on this podcast right now, I failed and almost quit so many times in my solo career, and I would never be doing music still. I wouldn't be in love in the outcome if it wasn't for you. Just going, you have to keep going. Like, you can't quit. I know what you were made to do, and you have to keep going after it. So, meet someone like Chris. But I think don't lose yourself, because losing yourself is losing your dream. And we have a pretty healthy, vibrant marriage. It has not come easy. We have fought for it, but we are so passionate about helping other people have like healthy marriages and not losing themselves within their relationships. So I hope some of what we shared, some of our story, has helped you guys grab hold to the truth that you can show up, be full yourself, and have an amazing marriage and a great career. Don't believe the lie that you have to choose one or the other. I love you.
I love you.